February 19, 1945. Ramree Island, Burma. British Marine Corporal Gerald McLaughlin stood guard at the edge of the mangrove swamp. Night had fallen. The Japanese troops who'd retreated into the swamp that morning were trying to cross to safety, 10 miles of mangrove forest between them and their own lines. Then the screaming started. Not battle cries, not wounded soldiers calling for help. Something worse, pure terror. Men being dragged into the water, thrashing, gurgling. Silence. Then more screaming somewhere else. McLaughlin knew what was happening. The crocodiles had found the Japanese, saltwater crocodiles. 20 feet long, weighing over a ton. The most aggressive crocodile species on Earth. Apex predators that had ruled these swamps for millions of years. All night the screaming continued. Gunshots, splashing, more screaming. By dawn, the swamp was silent. Of roughly 1,000 Japanese soldiers who'd entered the swamp, only about 20 emerged alive. The rest had been killed by crocodiles, disease, or exhaustion. This is the story of Ramree Island, the worst crocodile attack in recorded history. The night nature became the deadliest weapon of war. Ramree Island sits off the coast of Burma, 50 miles long, covered in dense mangrove swamps. The coastline is a maze of tidal channels and mud flats. At high tide, much of it floods. At low tide, thick mud makes walking nearly impossible, and the swamps are full of saltwater crocodiles, thousands of them. These aren't docile zoo crocodiles. Saltwater crocs are aggressive hunters, 20 feet long. Bite force over 3,000 pounds per square inch. They've killed more people than any other crocodile species. The Japanese had occupied Ramree since 1942, built fortifications on high ground, avoided the swamps. By early 1945, about 1,000 Japanese troops were stationed there. In January, British forces invaded. The 26th Indian Division landed and pushed inland. The Japanese were outnumbered, outgunned. They fought but were pushed back steadily toward the coast. By mid-February, the Japanese garrison was trapped. British forces controlled most of the island. The Japanese' only escape route was through 10 miles of mangrove swamps to reach Japanese-held territory on the mainland. The British knew the swamps were deadly. They set up positions on the far side and waited. On February 19th, the Japanese made their decision. They'd retreat through the swamps, 10 miles to safety, difficult but possible. They were soldiers, trained, disciplined. About 1,000 Japanese soldiers entered the swamp, carrying weapons, minimal supplies, wading through waist-deep water. The mud sucked at their boots. Progress was slow. Night fell. The tide came in. Water levels rose. What had been ankle-deep became chest-deep. The soldiers tried to find higher ground, but there was no high ground, just endless mangrove forest and tidal channels. That's when the crocodiles attacked, drawn by the splashing, the scent of men in the water, hundreds of potential prey thrashing through their territory. Saltwater crocodiles hunt by ambush. They lie motionless in water, only eyes and nostrils visible. Invisible in the dark, when prey comes close, they explode from the water. Jaws clamp down. They drag victims underwater, spin them in death rolls, drown them. The Japanese soldiers had rifles, but shooting a crocodile in the dark while waist-deep in water is nearly impossible. The muzzle flash blinds you. The recoil throws off your aim, and there are dozens of crocodiles. Hundreds, maybe. One gunshot attracts more. Soldiers bunch together for protection. Bad idea. Crocodiles are drawn to groups. More splashing, more noise, more prey. The attacks intensified. British troops on the perimeter heard the sounds all night. Screaming, gunfire, splashing, men yelling in Japanese. More screaming. It went on for hours. Naturalist Bruce Wright was with the British forces. He later wrote that the sounds were horrific. Wounded men screaming as crocodiles dragged them under, others screaming warnings, panic, terror, death. The crocodiles had the advantage in every way. They could see in the dark. They were built for swamp combat, fast in water, powerful, relentless. The Japanese were exhausted, lost, unable to see their attackers until too late. Some soldiers tried to climb trees, but mangrove roots are slippery, and crocodiles can wait. They'd position themselves below and wait for exhaustion or sleep. Eventually, everyone falls. Others tried to keep moving, push through to the other side, but 10 miles in a swamp at night is impossible. They went in circles, got stuck in mud, waded into deeper water trying to find channels, right into more crocodiles. Disease and exhaustion killed many too. Malaria, dysentery, infected wounds, men collapsed in the water, drowned, or were taken by crocodiles. The swamp killed as efficiently as any weapon. By dawn, the screaming had stopped. The swamp was quiet except for the sounds of feeding crocodiles and circling birds. When dawn broke on February 20th, British patrols moved into the swamp edges. What they found was carnage. Bodies in the water, body parts, blood, equipment scattered everywhere, and crocodiles, dozens of them, still feeding. Over the next few days, about 20 Japanese soldiers emerged from the swamp, wounded, delirious, traumatized. Some were captured by British forces, others died from injuries and disease shortly after. Out of roughly 1,000 men who entered the mangrove swamps, only 20 survived. The casualty rate was 98%. Most killed by crocodiles, others by disease, exhaustion, drowning, or exposure. The exact number killed by crocodiles versus other causes is debated. Some historians argue disease and exhaustion killed many. Others point to witness accounts of the screaming and the sheer number of crocodiles in the area. The truth is probably a combination, but crocodiles were certainly the primary cause. The Guinness Book of World Records lists it as the worst crocodile attack in history. Whether 400 or 800 men were killed by crocodiles, it remains the deadliest encounter between humans and crocodiles ever recorded. British forces secured Ramree Island, built the airfields they needed. The campaign succeeded, but everyone who heard those screams that night never forgot them. The Battle of Ramree Island became legendary, not for the fighting between armies, but for what happened in the swamp. Nature had killed more effectively than any weapon. Some historians question the numbers, argue not all deaths were crocodile attacks. They're right. Disease, exhaustion, and drowning killed many. But the witness accounts are clear. Hundreds of men were attacked by crocodiles that night. The screaming was real. Saltwater crocodiles are ambush predators. Patient, powerful. In their element, they're nearly unstoppable. 1,000 exhausted soldiers wading through their territory at night was a feast. The crocodiles took full advantage. Today, Ramree Island's mangrove swamps are still home to saltwater crocodiles. Locals still avoid them. The swamps haven't changed. They're still deadly, still ruled by predators that have survived for millions of years. The Japanese soldiers who died there had no chance. Trapped between British guns and the swamp, they chose the swamp. It was the wrong choice. But surrender wasn't an option in their culture, so they walked into hell, and very few walked out. British forces trapped 1,000 Japanese soldiers in a swamp. Crocodiles killed hundreds overnight. Only 20 survived. It remains the worst crocodile attack in recorded history. The night when nature proved it could be deadlier than any army. The battlefield where the enemy wasn't soldiers, but the swamp itself and the predators that lived there.